right, everybody. I think we're ready to start. So I hope you can hear me. Again, questions in the chat for those on Zoom. But hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I want to start off by introductions. I think we should start with our Madam Chair, Marcela Gomez. So if you'd like to come up here. So that hold on. Here we go. By the way, I'm Jonathan Menjivar Lopez, and I'm the communications chair for the Greater North Texas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. So, welcome.
Thank you, Jonathan. Yes. Well, welcome to our first roundtable session, and this is the opportunity for our members to be able to give us input. We want to make sure that we are running this chamber to your benefit, and we want to make sure that your ideas, your input is taken into account. Since we got this group started, it's been a core group of people that have had the initiative, the passion, the ideas, but we're growing. We've got a large region to cover. So we want to make sure that we're not running this according to how we think should be run. This is the opportunity for people that are coming in, let's say at this level, to have an opportunity, to have the chance to really say, you know, this is what I'm looking for in a Chamber of Commerce. Why am I joining a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce? You know, what is the benefit, or what can I contribute to an organization like that? These are the questions that we want to, you know, hear answers from you, hear your ideas. The direction that we're taking, I think it's a good one, but I think we need to make sure we amplify your voices. This is it. You got all of you here today. Thank you for being here. Are part of really something great. I believe that we are already making a big impact in North Texas, and whatever region you come from, you being here, potential leaders to make this organization grow in your area. So anyway, to not saying much more because it's really your show today. Thank you for being here, and Jonathan, take it away.
Thank you, Marcela. So next, I think we want to hear from our Director of Operations, Gilberto Ataide. He's kind of keeping everything together today and for the chamber for a long time now. So I want to give the microphone over to him.
Thank you, Jonathan. And my name is Gilberto Ataide. I'm the Director of Operations for this Chamber of Commerce, and I've been doing this since February of 2022 of this year. But prior to this, I was volunteering. I actually volunteered for about a year and a half on the board. So it got to a point where I was like, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and take this full time. I see a lot of potential, and everybody that I've talked to, I will say that 95% of people that I have a Zoom call with, which is everybody in our membership, they all say there's a need for it. Absolutely, when we come together, opportunities come about, and I think that's what it's about. So thank you guys, and that is it for my intro. I'll go ahead and pass it down to the next person. Evelyn?
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Evelyn Cermeño. I am a board member, and I am also the membership committee chair for our membership group. So basically jumped into this role about 3-4 months ago, I think so. It feels a lot, I guess when you're having fun, time flies, right? So Victoria's also in the membership committee. We've got others in the membership committee. So it's very important to, the membership committee is extremely crucial, and it's a key component of the chamber overall, because that's the recruitment that happens overall with everyone. The members that you see sitting in here today at some point were recruited. So any marketing, any promotion, any events, being orchestrated or coordinated. Definitely a lot of work there. So big kudos to those who have been involved. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that happens on the back end, like a lot of Zoom meetings. Usually it takes about a few hours of our day. So a lot of it goes into it. We are still actively recruiting people who want to be in charge of this membership or want to be a part of it. So any feedback, any ideas when it comes to recruiting or just the event coordination with it, all ears. And I know we have some other committees being orchestrated where people could get plugged in. And so we're working on Spanish material. There's a really, really good CRM tool that we're using right now as well. So lots of exciting stuff in the membership committee overall. Goals. So what does the goals look like? Recruit more people, right? So we need all hands in. And you don't have to necessarily be in the membership committee to recruit people. Anytime you speak about the chamber or you share an event on Facebook, or when you're around with your friends and they're like, hey, I saw you at an event. What is that all about? That's your opportunity to talk about the chamber, right? And how to get them involved. Now, there is a specific protocol right now with the membership committee, but again, you don't have to be a part of it to recruit more members. The more word we get out in our communities, the more members we have, the more sponsorships, the more money that goes into the nonprofit, the more projects and more resources we can give out to the community. So again, this committee is extremely important, and I'm a little biased just because of being the chair of it, but I love this chamber, and we're a growing chamber, and we're getting to a point where we're kind of outgrowing our clothes. So we need a lot of help in this area. So if you are interested in volunteering and hearing how to get involved in the membership committee, please let me know. We're excited to get you plugged in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Evelyn. I guess I'll go next as the communication chair. I'm starting, we've just recently started working on the communications committee and figuring out what that means for the chamber. A lot of it is, how do we support Gilberto and the membership committee as they start, setting up monthly networking events, we start doing vendor events. All those things are, we have to put promotion out there on social media. We have to put it online. We have to get a lot of people interested in it so that our chamber can grow. I think that's the core elements of what we're trying to do here. And also bring some really important programs to the table into the forefront for our community. So we are helping people, we're helping the chamber by developing brand assets, getting those assets uploaded in the right spaces. And as our chamber grows, as our need grows, we'll continue supporting on the communication side. It's a brand new committee. Literally, we've started talking about it in the last 2 weeks on what it is that we need to do. It's a lot of graphic design, it's a lot of branding elements, it's a lot of how do we get all this information in one place that makes it succinct and inviting for people online. So we're really excited to get started on that element. That's it for me. Who is next? Who's the next committee? Go on, Victoria.
Hola a todos. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. Well, I'm represent Addison. I just think that it's very nice to get together, Hispanic people get together, help each other. And I think it's what it's everything about, help each other, serve everybody. I think in life, we are here to serve. We're here just to be friends, so no, you have to serve somebody. That's the main core of being a human, is what I believe from my heart. So I'm very thankful to be part of the Chambers of Commerce. And I really believe one important thing that we are doing in the community is connecting each other, because it's not all about money. A lot of times you say, oh, I need money. No, you need connection, because so many times I receive a lot of blessings for that connection. I was talking to him about, like, I was waiting for a machine to make margaritas to the restaurant. And I have this beautiful connection with Juan. He's my sales rep for the spec. Just a story. That how beautiful is connection. Is what I want to emphasize in this moment. We have to connect. We have to share. So he was in this event that he was invited, and then he remembered me. He remembered like Victoria wants this machine. He went straight to the person that the company that was offered this machine and say, "Hey, I have a client. She needs a machine. You know, now we have a new machine in Palma without any money, zero money. It's about connections. So it's what I want everybody really believe on your heart. When you connect, you can bless everyone. That's my message. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I'll be quick. My name is Uriel Vasquez. I'm actually now leading the committee for music and entertainment. My background is actually in advertising and marketing. I have an ad for 12 years. Have, clients all over the US. But now I'm actually a full-time musician with my wife. And there's nothing wrong with marketing. I'm still doing some freelances, but I dedicate myself more for music. I think speaking about achievements is more about what you can do for others than speaking about yourself. So I'm gonna change for what I can do for the chamber, for the members. Recently, we the band, my wife and I, we have a band called Nova Pangia. We won a second grant, by the city of Dallas. So yeah, that's really cool. It's gonna be open in October. I think you guys can hire us. You guys you don't need to pay us. The city is gonna pay us. So it's actually quite a different grant. Anyway, where I'm going with this is I'm really good at actually figuring out how to have access to money. So I'm offering my knowledge as for the chamber and any other member who's in the need for money or grants from the city, basically from the cities. And I'm here to help. Again, my background is in marketing and advertising. I haven't do grants for a living, but I think I know how to do it. So I think the two grants kind of speak for themselves. So anyway, my name is Julio Vasquez, and I'll be in charge of probably getting in touch with other artists as well. So you guys have venues, restaurants that we can probably provide and bring more members, more art into the chamber, which is actually one of the cool things about this chamber. It's not only about the memberships, which is important, but it's also what they can do for the community outside of the membership world. So thank you very much. Try to keep it short. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Julia Garrido, and I am a board member as well for the chamber. I started out volunteering as well. I volunteered for about 2 years, and then I helped out with the events, Cinco de Mayo event that we had. And now I am the board member for the mentorship program that we're gonna have starting in October with Dallas College and the partnership with the chamber. So what this is a business program where you or anyone can be part of this event. Be part of this program, and you'll get a mentor as well while you're going through the program, and it will talk about the different ways you can become or excel your business more than anything. So we hope that people that want to sign up, that want to keep learning and growing, and we hope that you utilize all the skills and knowledge that we're bringing to you, all these opportunities, because as small business owners, sometimes it's hard for us to find that on our own. And with the chamber, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to change that. And just like, Muriel and Victoria just said, it's about helping others. And so hopefully we can, help you grow as well, and know that the chamber is bringing, you know, something of value to you and the people around you. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Julia. Well, we just wanted to introduce a little bit to the community leaders and some of the leaders that are here. Would you like to? Yeah, please. Andrew, how's it going?
Hello, my name is Lupe Baza. I'm a CPA and I am also a certified tax planner, and I work as volunteer for the chamber and part of the finance committee. So what I do is I work with small business owners, and part of my passion here with the chamber is educating small business owners from a tax perspective. So anything that has to do with taxes and creating a business entity to just educating a brand new business owner on how to start your business. That's I'm here.
Yes, we can hear Andrew as well, who is the leader of the committee, the finance committee. Let's figure that out.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can y'all hear me? Yes. Okay, perfect. So my name is Andrew. I am a board member with the Greater North Texas Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, as well as the chair of the Finance Committee. The purpose of the Finance Committee is to provide financial analysis, advice, and oversight of our organization's budget. Ultimately, we want to make sure that our organization is operating with the financial resources it needs to provide programs and services to our members and community. Currently, right now, we're working on our annual budgets for next year. And as we continue to add programs, we will continue to adjust these budgets or create these budgets in order to make sure that we're able to provide them to, again, our members and community.
On the microphone. We have one more committee member, a committee leader that has arrived.
Okay. Hi, my name is Juanita Lopez, and I'm with the Advocacy Committee. Okay, so I've been with the chamber, I think about a year and a half, maybe getting closer to 2. I really enjoy helping others, and if anybody reaches out to me or just anybody, if I can't help them, I direct them to someone first within the committee, if not somebody else that within the chamber, if not just somebody else that I know that's able to help.
All right, I think that is all for the introductions, and I think we're ready to move towards the next section. And this is really the strategy portion of it, where Gilberto is going to brief us on kind of where the chamber is now and where we're going. This is the opportunity for any of you here with us today and online to ask questions. If you're online, please put them in the chat. We want to make this a dialogue and answer as many questions as you can to our members. So,
So I hope you guys can see the screen. I'm sorry I have it on camera, but it's like my I guess like the basic building blocks when we start building the program. But you guys will probably you've heard me say this a couple of times already, so or I hope you did. But I think in order to facilitate business between or within the organization, we need to focus on 6 different areas. And this is every chamber does this, but I think if you start breaking it down, the first one is networking. So we have to find different ways to connect people through networking events. And the thing that has brought a lot of success to our prior networking events is because we involve culture. We involve culture, music, and making sure that from the minute the person walks into a networking event, they feel that they're going to be supported by everyone in this group. So that's a big kudos to all the committees that are working together, because every time we're at a networking event, we're purposely finding people to connect with each other in that event. So I think that brings a lot of value, because we're welcoming people with open arms, and they're seeing that, hey, we have a large network here that you can potentially benefit from, right? So as we move toward the next 2-3 years, we have to find more effective ways to connect people. One of the things that I've looked into is online matchmaking. It's something that is going to take a lot more money, and it's going to take a few more resources, but online matchmaking can be very beneficial. Somebody that has a busy schedule, maybe they can't attend networking events, but possibly we can pair them up, create a profile, and then we can kind of come up with a schedule for them. So that's one thing with networking. The second thing is discounts. So discounts are important because we need to be able to facilitate business within each other, right? So every person that comes in, I like to talk about if there's a certain discount that you would offer the chamber membership, it's a great way to introduce yourself, because person signs in, they get a welcome packet, they have a type of discount that they can get from you or your business, and you can connect with them a little bit. So as we move forward, the idea is that we find more partners to give more discounts to our members, and that's something that's going to keep going up in value. The third thing is credibility. We have to push for certifications, minority certifications. We have to push for BBB accreditation, anything that will help us build credibility within our group, because we don't want somebody from the outside in coming in and saying, well, it's just a bunch of businesses. But yeah, I mean, this is accredited, legitimate. We do great business with each other, and we're here to kind of support throughout the journey. So that's the third thing. The fourth thing is growth, educational events, whether it's Zoom, whether it's workshops, whether it's one-on-one sessions. We have to find different ways to provide educational material to our membership. And we've had some great partnerships. The SBA has been amazing. Right now, the International Trade Administration has offered their service as well. If anybody wants to export or import goods from the United States, what they're pushing for right now is exporting goods, because after the pandemic, what happened is a lot of times we were left without the supply chains were broken. But if we can find how to rebuild the businesses within the country and start exporting more, it'll help us with shocks in the future. So growth will be very important, because we want to create a pathway, right? If the person wants to come in and learn about a certain thing, they need to have the resources available to them. So that's the fourth thing. The fifth thing is visibility. It is important that we're constantly in the community. And I think every business owner should dedicate a little bit of time every single year to be out there and just give back. Because when you become a business owner that's constantly involved and people are seeing that you're involved in the community, they're more likely to support you. So I think that'll be very important, because of course we want a lot of growth. And then voice, the last thing. And voice, I mean, it's kind of natural. If you have a large organization with a lot of business owners, 300 business owners, 400 business owners, you have a larger voice. So if something happens in public policy or something local, then we can be there to support you. And that will go a very, very long way in the future. So I'll open it up to questions. Oh, I didn't want to talk about on display. You do have the committees there. So we have membership and awards that basically the sales department, and also being able to recognize people. Communications, because you'll have your marketing, But it's not just external marketing, but within the organization, you have to have a certain branding too, right? All documents have to be branded within internal documents. Networking, of course, to create the networking events, special events for Cinco de Mayo. We are planning to have more special events throughout the year. Cinco de Mayo has been a great way for us to get exposure in Flower Mound. This year, we've had over 1,500 people attend. So the idea is to keep expanding on that, different areas. Our social media ambassadors push the message online. So a person signs in, we have business owners, they comment, like. We're gonna grow our social media ambassadors because that's what kind of brought us up in the beginning. We're very active online. The social media algorithms just help you. So 80% of our membership has actually found us because of social media. So it's crazy that we figured out how to leverage that in our benefit. Ribbon cuttings, always celebrating the success of those new business owners and making sure we're showing them support. Education, because of the learning material that we're going to provide. Finance, we need to make sure our books are in order. And of course, advocacy that I just talked about, just sticking together and having a bigger voice. And that is all. But I'll open it up to this group first, and then I'll also be taking questions on the chat. So is there anybody that can come up and kind of talk about, what we'd like to see? Anything you're excited about? Feedback?
That plays a big part. Exactly what you say. In our culture, so yeah.
That's true. So yeah, we'll actually we'll do actually a congratulations applause for choosing for the new arts committees and music committees, and that's very important because musicians, artists, that's a business too, right? And we got to find different ways to support them too. So thank you guys for volunteering for that effort. We do have an education committee. So I'm working on, because this is what I'm thinking, right? And ultimately the board has to decide, we have to put this on paper, but there's a lot of great resources in the community. And we've talked to, actually the South Development Project has over 6,000 modules on anything that you need to learn about business. And we're hoping to implement that in 2023. My only thought is that as an organization, we have to figure out how to track when people are signing up for external events. Because if we can track that, then a person can come into our organization and say, I want to be able to learn more about finance. And then I can say, these are the 6 courses that you could possibly take, right? The modules, PDFs, maybe working sessions in person. And if I could provide that information to that business owner just coming in, and I can document after this person took these modules, this was the accomplishment by it, then we can put that down and ask for bigger grants, ask for bigger sponsorships, because we are very aware of what's happening in our organization. And we can push for more participation with that too. Right, grants. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And for you, hopefully you guys heard online, but we're basically talking about grant writing. There is a lot of organizations that help with grant writing. And we have contacted a certified grant writer that'll help us out. I want to make sure I take the time to go through their process and vet them out a little bit before we start releasing it out to our membership. But it's definitely very important. And there is some nonprofits that we'll start contacting so we can start releasing their information to our membership. But I know that this time of the year, it's important to ask the questions because later in the year, they get busy and it's harder to do those one-on-one sessions. So probably here in the next couple of weeks, we'll have that out. I've actually talked to one organization that particularly helps nonprofits. And it was about 3 weeks ago, 2-3 weeks ago. So I'm hoping that I get that second meeting and we can start releasing some of that stuff. But that's a great question. Thank you, Luca.
You should probably try the Meadows in downtown.
Downtown?
Meadows, yeah, you're actually, you know what the Metro someplace?
Yeah.
They're actually behind. There's you can actually have a little highlight there. There are a bunch of organizations that were kept with grants too. And you're right, I'm not certified, but it's what I offer is you guys have at least, glance that people give you an input. And you definitely need someone who's actually certified to speak. I think because of the nature of the chamber, you might only get grants from different cities. I mean, we have a meeting last week with the city of Palm Beach, and they want us to be also. So it's what starts spreading out the word that you get a grant, so we can do. It's going to open up for the other thing is along with the grant writing sponsor. I mean, once you have the need, once you have the information, you can use the same name for sponsor. What you have to do is find what that sponsor for. I mean, for use it's easier because once you put together a show or an event, you're just actually planning out your options as a sponsor. So as a chamber, I don't know that.
Well, we have some ideas, but we're going to send them in, but just throw it out there. The chamber itself is a
60.
which is not a charitable organization. So we don't qualify for grants. There are some grants. The idea is to actually have our own foundation. So then we will qualify for this, grants. That's just an idea that's floating in the air. Yes.
Yeah.
So from a business perspective, that's where the change to how that was.
Yeah. Well, and the platform that you offered, and actually I was just invited to join something. I'm not very familiar with it. It's called Align. But something like that for us, it sounded, where you can pull up your profile and you vet them, of course, which is not letting everyone join. They're vetted, that when you go to our membership website, you're going to find, a construction person, you're going to find, the payroll person, you're going to find, because they've been vetted. But to be able to offer that resource and say, I'm not certified, but I have experience and I'll walk you through it to be able to have that because, not to say old, but us that take a little bit longer to text. I want to be able to sit with someone that can walk me through it, and that's what I think we can do as a chamber. And then the foundation, we get to that point, then we start actually sponsoring.
All right. Well, good discussion there. So grant writing is definitely on the list. Yeah. Feedback?
Hi guys, I'm George Martinez. George Martinez, I set up payroll and credit card processing services. Been doing it for about 10 years. I joined the chamber because I wanted to help people out there, and what better to help their community. But one of the things I noticed that I've been trying to join your chamber for like about a good year technically, but all your events are always like in the afternoons, right? So some people, you have single moms, single dads, whatever it may be, have 2 kids, softball practice. So those events don't fit my schedule, right? And maybe it's selfishly, I'm thinking this, but I'm thinking networking events during the day would be a lot better, even if it's monthly or quarterly. Make them lunch and learns. Yeah, lunch and learns. There it may be. I'm the president of our networking group, and I run the networking meetings. I was thinking as a chamber, you guys can spread it out. And since you guys are trying to hit North Dallas, you can have maybe a monthly event, maybe in Allen, then McKinney the next month, and Frisco the next month. You know, you can move it around where you can include more people and you can have a wider spectrum, right? So you can bring people in, right? And I think that would be a great way to build your chamber and then also get people included, right? So we can set up a lunch and learn 1 month that talks about finance, and that talks about grants, real estate, construction, whatever it may be, right? You can vote on it or whatever, or set it up that way. But I think that would be a great way to expand the network and reach and get more people included instead of just being a member. Hey, I paid. What does that include, right?
I like that.
What kind of things do you want to see at these networking events? What kind of information? Is it just to meet more people, or is it to specifically learn something? What would that look like for you?
So this is one of the things that we're trying to do in our networking group, and we kind of just thought about it. We're doing a panel. So we're setting up 4 panels, right? So CPA, bookkeeping, payroll, credit card processing, and maybe a bookkeeper, right? So we're going to have set questions, do like a lunch and learn where we invite people to network for the first half hour, the next 45 minutes to half an hour, we do the learn part, right? And then after that, you network, or you can, take off, go back to work or whatever. But no longer than like an hour and a half. But basically just have a mixer in the beginning portion of it, the half hour, and then after that, just kind of like the set questions. It also brings business. Obviously, people get to learn, free advice. So it's kind of more of like a, like a secrets type of thing, like to bring people in. And then, if she's let's say she's the CPA, maybe she can invite her clients, right, to come visit or whatever. Or maybe if I'm door knocking or whatever, I can invite business owners. So it's just kind of to bring different amount of people in here, and just different, not just Hispanics, right? Just expand it to the whole community.
I like it. Good idea.
I like to piggyback on that, but it's true. We're business owners, so we're busy. We're running a household, we're running our family, and we're running our business. So to be on Facebook all day, although it is fun, it's hard. So we do a lot on Facebook, but if you're trying to run a business, we don't have time. And so we need to be able to say, okay, every 3rd Tuesday, I'm gonna be here. Every, whatever, and then it's learning something from it. And then from there, you can work on to our time is very valuable. And so to have that social aspect and the educational aspect and have it spread out. Yes, but to have it kind of spread out. So, but having that education and really thinking business owner. And we are trying to spread out that we have. So, there's a way in membership as we get a new member to form categories.
I'm loud, it piggybacks on the same thing, and I'm glad you hit it because that's kind of my topic. My topic is more around how do we grow our Hispanic community within not just Dallas, right? Because we are greater North Texas, right? So we want to be able to get out to the McKinney, Allen, Fairview. There are a lot of Hispanics with businesses in that area, and we need to reach them. We need to engage them. We need to welcome them in, and we can't do everything down here. It's like we need to start spreading it out, whether it's 1 month we do it by county or something like that. Or maybe we start doing networking by categories. Which are the categories that support and need each other? So as we're building our membership, we're dividing them by categories. Hey, construction needs, architecture needs, new business owners, right? That's a networking. Then you build off of that. For us as a venue, musician, music, arts, planners, decor
Flores, all of those. And I'm happy to say, hey, as a venue owner, I'm happy to grab Collin County, anything that's events industry, and be your hub for networking there. You know, and that doesn't prohibit other business owners to come in as well, because they need that. You know what? We need training sessions for corporate. We need, you know, all of these things. We can start building off of each other, what those lunch and learns or mix and mingles look like, but also community based, because it's like, not only it's a time constraint, but it's also the distance, right? So let's build on that.
All right, thank you.
Following up with that, so like there's actually there's a thing, something we use for our networking group that's called spheres. So industry spheres, right? So you have to think about it like a wedding, right? You have a table and you have like mom, dad, grandpa, kids, right? So same thing. So like real estate, you have, you know, your loan officers, you have your insurance, you know, so like these are all spheres. So it's kind of the same thing I was thinking about. Like if you do it in different cities, like every month or every quarter, however you guys want to expand it. But like you can get those different spheres and then say, okay, let's say you want to present that month. Okay, well, let's get your power partners. And like if you guys had a website, which I don't know if you guys have a website or not, but like where you can find members. So if I'm looking for an insurance agent, where do I go to find an insurance agent? You know, if I don't have time to scroll down Facebook and be like, which one is this? Which one posted for industry? You know, so if you guys had something on your website that actually included that and it's easy to find, right? Then it would be like so much better for your people. And then even when you do the networking events, then you can see like, okay, let's do a financial time session, lunch and learn, or let's talk about real estate this time, right? When is a good time to buy a house? When is a good time to, you know, get insurance or roof, whatever, you know, like those would be great. Like, you know.
Right, and I will say that we looked into making our website a lot more thorough, where people can submit their events. You can have the directory. It is very expensive. It is we got quoted $9,000 the first year, and so we're like, yeah, we're gonna have to wait a little bit more on that, but it is coming. I've seen other chambers do it. I like it. We all agreed that we need it. It's just a matter of just taking a little bit more time, bringing in more members, and once we're ready to make that expense, we can. So very good, very good. Thank you. Yeah, laptop and a car, and you know, the website. Just for it to have all the different features that we want. And you have to maintain it throughout the year. So we have to have a dedicated person adding info, taking away info. Yeah.
So I did want to add on to Gilberto's point. So all of these initiatives that we have and ideas require a lot of money. And again, going back to the funding with the chamber, right? With this being a specific type of nonprofit, we will need a lot of funding when it comes to it. How does that happen? With growing our membership, right? And growing our members that we have. But I also want to point out that if you work for a corporate or if you're independent, there is a CRA department within your corporation that has a budget specifically for minority chambers, project initiatives. So please ask, please ask. That's what I did with Citibank, and they were more than happy to grant a really good sponsorship for the chamber, and that's what's pretty much funded the rest of our workshops and initiatives for the rest of the year. And I mean, this is no kudos for Citibank. I mean, this could happen with any corporation or any industry. So please encourage you to ask to see what their budget is so they can allocate those funds so that we can have more workshops, so we can have the search engine on our websites and things of that sort. They throw money out at golf clubs and their expensive boat trips at the end of the year, the CEOs and stuff like that. So trust me, they've got the money. We just have to be our advocates, and we have to advocate for our chamber. We have to advocate for each other. And so don't be afraid to ask, right? Another part, feedback that I wanted to bring up is when it comes to membership, if you are looking for someone who really wants to get involved and they want to volunteer, we're always actively recruiting new talent. So if someone wants to volunteer or wants to be involved, please connect them with either Gilberto or someone on the membership team, Because what happens is we schedule a 30-minute phone call and we get to know everything about them. Where are they from? What's their industry? How can we connect them? It's almost like a full-blown vetting process. So then from there, we're looking for future leaders. We're looking for future people who could be in charge of different committees. So if you do have someone, please connect them over to someone on the membership team so we can schedule that time and make it more intimate that way.
You know, what you guys are talking about. While I have my agency, I have the opportunity to serve Toyota Gulf States. And it's true, they have money. In the department, it's corporate minority outreach. Usually that's a department that has money for initiatives. Myself, I was involved in the launch for the FG Cruiser and the new redesigned Toyota Tacoma in the Tundra. So in order to do that, you know, all you got to do is just reach out to that department and they'll disclose. That's public money. I mean, they need to disclose, you know, how much money they have. So anybody can have access to it. Now, the key is, what do we have that is different than anybody else? And that's, again, where memberships, it's what every chamber does. Membership should go and should be making business. But in this case, if you want to reach to that kind of money, is what are you doing to the community on a massive scale? Where can I place my new redesigned 2005 Toyota? You know, and you know, so the Hispanics, which is 85% of the drivers are Hispanics. So it's all about research. It's about kind of knowing how to pitch these guys. But I know as a matter of fact that they do have money. Also, I have the opportunity to have with Apple and Verizon. And Apple is a little bit hesitant to link it to the Hispanic market, but at least Verizon. And there are a lot of, I think there's the new, over here in Las Colinas, I think there's going to be a new headquarters for Verizon. I don't know if they're going to put all the decision makers there, but that would be another approach, you know, just communications. You know, how can we connect more Hispanics in a network that they already provide? Maybe it's an event, or maybe it's by all switching to, the majority of switching to Verizon, or people who are actually on Verizon. You know, how can we pitch them something that can, you know, be interested? Usually it takes about 4, 5, 6 months to get to the top and they decide. So it's very tough. I mean, but you can make it probably in 8 months, 6 months. So it's a good time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so we do have a question following up with what Uriel just said, and it says, how about reaching out to more Latin sponsors?
Yeah, I guess, oh, go ahead.
What would be, what kind of company that we're talking about? I think one approach would be, and maybe, you know, search on the number of members and see, okay, what is the industry that has more members? Let's say it's restaurants, for example. It could be restaurants, or it could be just say restaurants right now. So right there, speaking about the spheres of like that, spheres of, how do you call it? Industry spheres. Okay, that's how you probably start defining, okay, who has more access? Maybe El Rancho, maybe any other supermarket, or maybe other kind of, you know, milk. Lala, is Lala here? Because Lala was here back in, you know, 8 years ago. I don't know if it's still here or not. But anyway, back in those days, we have Lala. You know, some other products that are coming from Mexico, Latin America. So maybe that's a good approach. You know, take a look at those products that they want to get into the Hispanic market. It's hard for them to kind of get, so they need an audience. So we can provide that audience. We can provide a festival, maybe we can provide any event sponsored by them, and that also tied in with the new client, the new member that you said is trying to do trades between Mexico and the U.S. that would be able to do it.
So DH Dance Entertainment did say he's had a lot of liquor sponsors at his events. Avion Tequila, Don Julio Tequila, etc. So it falls under, you know, market of targeting the Hispanic Latino community, because sometimes, it's not just enough to do TV, and, we want to make sure we're having these partnerships with them as well.
All right, good conversation.
I mean, I know producing an event, it takes a lot of time, money, and effort. But how about if we just find events that are already produced out there? That there are people that already have, whether the grants or the monies, we just piggyback with them. I mean, Univision, I don't know if it's still doing events, but because of COVID. But I mean, maybe there's a way to piggyback with Univision, and they're already putting everything out there. You don't need to worry about anything else. And how can we enhance what they already have, instead of just putting all the money, putting all the research, putting all the effort? So maybe, or even Telemundo. So Telemundo probably another, or even BBC.
Yeah, Univision knows us a show, by the way. Yeah, the show has an episode, so I'll reach back out.
So once again, DH Dance Entertainment also said he can get 50% off with 107.9 FM, Latino Mix Radio, Univision, CBS, and radio ads. So that's a really good connection as well. We definitely need these types of connections from members. So if you do have this, it benefits you, but it also benefits everyone in the chamber, right? Because there might be someone reaching out, but they haven't heard back from them. And so if you do have that information, then it definitely helps. And it's David Herrera. Thank you, David.
All right, thank you.
Another comment I have for Latino, the Hispanic Heritage Month. Well, the things that we have so far is not really Hispanic. It's more Tex-Mex. Again, I'm not against Tex-Mex, but I'm not a Tex-Mex kind of guy. Well, yes, I am. Yes. Yeah, because it doesn't represent the Hispanic population. I mean, but in a way, when you're talking about, when you're talking about, for example, I mean, like now these things with soda, all they have is Tex-Mex. But this is Hispanic. So we're the Venezuelans, we're the Bolivians, all these. So it is only bringing two Tex-Mex bands. Again, I feel more related to flamenco, for example, than Tex-Mex. But for example, that's a chance that we have to bring the entire spectrum of Hispanics. I know this is a little controversial because we're in Texas, but that's another way to probably be different than anybody else. Because everybody else who's doing Hispanic, it's all mariachis and Tex-Mex. That's all you have.
Hello? Okay, so I think if we're gonna zero in that, by Hispanic, you're just talking about the population who speaks Spanish. We're trying to reach Latinos of every area, which includes Tex-Mex. We are what we are. And so if we're going to be, and I say we, going to be excluded from our own sangre, how fair is that? So
I don't understand that. I mean, it's something that right now, it's all Tex-Mex, like Tex-Mex only, the Hispanic Heritage Month. And the way I see it is the word in between, which is heritage. There's no heritage of the entire country. Texas is just one state of the United States. So there's no real representation nationwide. So if we can create an event that will have to be Tex-Mex, also to have representation of all the way from the Patagonia, all the way to Canada, or even Alaska, that would be a true, honest Hispanic Heritage Month.
I think just Latino as opposed to Hispanic. Because when you say Hispanic, you're just zeroing in on Spanish speaking. We have a lot of, you just mentioned it, from different países, different groups, to bring the heritage, you're talking Latino demographics, not necessarily just Hispanic demographics. Because we have a lot of Latinos who don't necessarily speak Spanish, but they know what a tortilla is. you know, and it's that it's because if you, it is a heritage. It is who we morphed into because of all of these different Latino lands.
So just to, piggyback off of what, Uriel is saying, I guess it's more of like inclusivity, right? We talk a lot about being inclusive, and that's what Lupe is saying as well. And so a lot of times we do see Hispanic heritage, but we're only seeing the Mexican or, like very particular, demographic. And one thing that we should be more proud of is saying like, oh, I mean, we have people from Venezuela, people from Colombia, Honduras, it's everyone. And those are celebrated. They also celebrate the same Independence Day as, Mexico, El Salvador too, so we do have Salvadorians, like Jonathan. And so being more inclusive, I think, can also allow us to be more noticed and saying like, we value, very different, and we value everyone, not just one particular, targeting one particular demographic.
Because what really happens is if we came and whoever simple and minor separation. Nobody knows what Hispanic Heritage Month means. It's just a text-based separation. So I think we have hypocrisy open up. It's part of people. And also, we also need some clear, that's what I'm.
Yeah. Uriel, if you don't mind, I think this conversation is very important because we are a Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, but we do need to define that we are all inclusive, that we're not just, particular, we're only gonna allow our people. We are Hispanics organizing this because we feel like we have something to give and something. But I think more of this conversation needs to happen within a smaller group that we can define. Cinco de Mayo, to me, to be honest, is a Tex-Mex or an American holiday. And I want to define it as an American holiday because it's really not even a Mexican, it's not celebrated. So we can define it. Any other festivities that we do that are Hispanic need to be all inclusive. That's for sure. But let's wrap that one up, and then we'll continue the conversation on that on a different group.
So I will say that there's a nonprofit organization called Hispanic Star that's kind of wants to bring awareness around Hispanic heritage and being inclusive. So they designed a branding kit. It has like 20 videos, 40 different flyers. You can put it everywhere. And they distribute it to a lot of Hispanic organizations so that we all start posting the same content. And it talks about Afro-Latinos. It talks about all the different spectrums. And I think it was good. So I received this kit like 2 months ago. So I'm gonna share it with the rest of the membership. If you want to post some stuff that's on there, I think it was great. So, yeah, there's everything. So I really like that initiative. The other thing that I kind of wanted to circle around is that being an ambassador of the organization or saying that you're a committee lead or saying that you're a board member does open the doors for you immensely. Because I have my foundation repair business, but I can't go anywhere and be like, hey, I'm foundation repair. But I can walk into 80-90% of the places and say, hey, I'm a board member or I'm a director for the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. I just want to get to talk to you for a little bit. And doors will open up. I think me and Evelyn have showed up to a couple events and we just want to, a lot of events. We've shown up to a lot of events where we're just like, hey, we want to meet the organizer. And you get in touch with the organizer and the conversation goes from there. But it's one way for us, it's big advantage, right? I think it's also, as a committee member or ambassador, you have a responsibility. So I do have an ambassador certification that I want all the ambassadors to go through. And it's nothing difficult, but it just talks about who we are, what we're doing, core values, where are we going. and some of the resources that we have, so everybody can start saying the same thing. So that's going to help us out a lot too. But yeah, good conversations. I'll kind of wait for some questions or feedback around that.
Just adding to the inclusion part, we get this asked a lot also when we're networking and trying to recruit, do I have to be Hispanic to join? And that seems to be intimidating for someone that's not Hispanic, right? And the answer to that is no, you don't. You don't have to be. But we are a platform for probably a community that's been underserved for so long. So those who are passionate in serving those who are overlooked, then come on and join in. So I think that's a good response as to those who want to join, want to support. We've had members join and sponsor, such as in the Black community. We've had some in the Asian community. We've had full-blown supporters of all different races and backgrounds. So again, when you guys are out and about or you're being asked that, the question is no. You know, obviously that's very obvious. But of course, in a deeper discussion, we'll talk about from a marketing standpoint, what does that look like, right? Without it going political or that there being, what's the definition around it? You know, we're here to serve a community that's been overlooked for generations and generations. So we're here to make a difference. It's pretty much the voice and the platform for that.
So how would you approach a conversation like that? I mean, this is a scenario of this guy, you know, from Wisconsin that owns a factory. How would you? Oh, sorry, that's a good point, because I actually have a lot of friends that they're more, you know, they say, what about the chamber? She's the only Hispanic, and that's kind of like a little bit of a, okay, what should I say that? I think I do pretty good, but how would you, as an example, you would say I'm being with a, you know, factory from Wisconsin, and I, you know, like to join your chamber. How would you actually do it?
So I would come back with the resources for the community, right? So Latino and Black minorities is what we're considered. There's a lot, if you look at statistics, and we can pull hard numbers, there's a lot of need in those communities to educate, to live, and to provide funding, or even in certain schools that are underserved. So, you know, so my response to that is there's a need for an underserved community, and we're here to support. It doesn't necessarily have to be specifically to race, background, anything like that, right? When there's a need in a community, let's say, for example, and I don't want us to compare to a disability community, but if there's a need in a community where specifically we need to educate and to plug in more resources, the ask is not, do I have to be the same race, or the need is not, the criteria is not that, you know, it's open for everyone to be able to support and serve. So that would be my response to them, is the support in the community, unless anyone else would like to add to that, or. And then you invite them to the event to see. Yeah, here at the end of the day, guys, yes, we are a Hispanic community and we are serving our communities, but we are here to also boost our referrals and opportunities in the DFW and North Texas. If you are not doing business with Hispanic or minority professionals, then you are going to be left behind, because that's the present and that's the future. So that would be another response as well. It's about networking and boosting our referrals and our exposure and opportunity for business opportunities.
Look at your community. What does it build up? There is not one community out there right now, and it's going to continue to develop that way, where there are not Hispanics. Who are you serving? Do you want to join us to serve that community that, you know what, is the one that's going to go into your business and shop? Whether it's retail or whether it's a service, you're going to get a Hispanic that is going to come into, you know, whether you're going to work with them, whether they're going to do business with you, you're going to serve that community. So the best response to give them is look around you. You know, who are you servicing?
I've been asked that question, and I say, you know, we You don't have to be Hispanic or Spanish speaking, whatever we are. You don't. We serve this demographic. We have a different culture. We speak differently. We learn differently. We raise our families. It's a different culture. So if you want to reach this particular demographic, come join us. Come visit. Learn how to do business. You don't have to be a certain race or certain creed to join. What we're targeting is this demographic that's been underserved, and just leave it. I leave it at that demographic. I don't say race. I don't say anything, but I do mention the words different culture, because we have a different culture. We raise our families differently. We run our businesses differently, and so in order to be able to reach that, we need to be able to understand it. And so look around. Who are you selling to be able to understand that? Come have food with us.
And so I do want to add to that too, that we're over 30% of the population in Texas. We have $162 billion in purchasing power, and we are starting a business 34 times faster than any other group. I was like, I mean, I just have to say that and be like, all right. The opportunity is here, and it kind of gives me chills a little bit, but we're the heart of Texas. We're the heart of the economy and one of the strongest economies in the world. So I think that has a lot to say about the community.
Hey, Jonathan here. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs from El Salvador. They came to this country, and 20 years ago, they started a restaurant, and they've operated that restaurant for 20 years, right? And that's where I've decided, that's why I decided to be my own boss and continue. And I think that a lot of our members have something similar, whether they started their own business a long time ago or they're starting recently. They have a lot of experience because of who their families are. And I think that's something that's important for us to tap into. And I think that's why the chamber exists, is to feed both ways. We serve our members, and our members are also providing services that we can, send to other people who aren't part of the Hispanic community, right? And I think that's what's important. For me, I think that one of the big things that we can provide for our strategy messaging is there's a lot of businesses that, like my parents, are 20 years old, and my parents are still doing books on paper, and they need a bookkeeper, right? And I think we've learned, there's a few of us who know that is a really difficult transition for any parent. It's a difficult transition if you're inheriting a business or you're trying to follow the family business. Those are the type of things that we know that other people don't know about, right? And I think it's important for us to provide services for that, to see how we can tap into that and how we can support them, because that is going to be the legacy and the longevity of that particular business. Because like my parents, my mom's food is delicious, and it will continue being delicious if somebody keeps cooking it for decades to come, right? And that's definitely going to be, me and my siblings that are supporting those efforts. So I just wanted to say that's what I see the chamber. That's why I see the chamber being such a benefit for the Hispanic community, not only for Latinos and Hispanics, but those outside of that particular demographic we serve.
Try to dance around the fact and try to, and ideally, it would be ideal to say the platform is the same. The platform is not the same. That we all walk through the same door, but we don't walk the same way. And that's why we need this. Because my mother also started a business and it failed. You know why? Because she refused to trust a CPA. I've been to eat at restaurants that are run by mom and pops who have been in business for 10, 15, 20 years. And I've heard them say, yo no le digo todo a mi CPA. Yo no le digo todo. ¿Por qué? Why? Because I want to pay. That's what we're here to teach them. And that's, for me, that's my passion. Is I need to know everything so that I can tell you how to report everything. You came to this country, the money is not going to help your kid hiding in the mattress. It's going to help them invest in the Roth IRA, or to educate them. But you're right, people don't know that. We know that. So as much as we want to say it's a level playing field, it's not. That's why we need this. So yes, you don't have to be Hispanic, but you have to, if you want to reach this market, which is growing, which is 30 plus, you have to understand how we talk and how we live.
The chamber is the first time for this year, Hispanic speaking CPA. And it's been a lot, I've met a lot of CPAs, in my years of business and, things that I was doing in college. And, this chamber, the first time that I met multiple CPAs who spoke both English and Spanish. And I think that is the crucial element and the difference between, or what we can provide for our members.
Which brings a point that I think we need to also discuss is that and I think Evelyn mentioned it, we're Hispanic and we need to provide services in Spanish just as well as English, and we're still lacking in that area. So that's something we definitely need to, but I mean, all of this is great. And I think nothing that we've said today is new to any of us. I think we've talked about it, all these very ideas. We just need people to take up the banner and and help us follow through with these ideas. It cannot boil down to a little core group to do this all over North Texas. We're gonna have to delegate, train and delegate. And if you're strong in the area of networking, you have that kind of background, come and join us, take a committee. It doesn't have to be, we're not centered in Dallas. I want everyone to understand that this chamber is not centered in Dallas. Now, we do a lot of events because we happen to have sponsors that are centered in Dallas, but as soon as we get sponsors and we get, the people in the other areas, we want to grow that. We want to grow there. On the Spanish, I did have a comment from a member that told me that in Arlington, there's a new group trying to start, and they're trying to get, Spanish chamber going. Obviously there's a need. There's a need for that. And everywhere that I look, people say, well, I just want us to be aware that we need to make sure that whatever we're doing, we gotta have some lunch and learns in Spanish, give that opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, the positions, you can call positions if you will. So people who are, willingly wanted to provide, free time on that. So you guys are gonna have it. Okay.
So Brenda Bolden is in the Zoom call and she's saying, if we do anything with the arts, would love to create a program for teenagers and photography. She's also, able to help and shoot any member that needs it as well.
That brings up a lot of good points. For networking, all right. Good, George. But yeah, that's what it takes. I mean, just people getting plugged in where you see, hey, there's a need right here. We need to start having this. Let me start something together.
Well, we mentioned that we're gonna have in March of next year something in Sherman. So I have talked to them, just, I told them I don't have a date, but I know they want to network. Yes, they're ready. So I've just been talking to people and letting them know I don't have a date yet. And I've had no, and some of them have not gone. I told them, I know it's your business, but you just take the time when it comes to them, and we'll let you know ahead of time. I think that's all of us. We're all busy with our businesses, but we have to take that time in the middle of the day or in the afternoon. And I know sometimes it's really, really hard, but we just have to make the time.
I think with adding on to Sherman, I think the biggest thing is like
minority or small business owners tend to sometimes feel intimidated, like with the money one-on-ones. They feel either intimidated or they're unaware of the importance it holds, and it's not something that, like you said, like, oh, I'm not gonna do this or that because it's like I need to keep it to myself, or it's not something that anybody needs to know. But it is, and it's knowledge is power, and that's, I think, what we were trying to.
Very good thoughts. And that's actually, a lot of that comes from example, right? We have to have leadership that's doing the same thing. And if they see us doing that, I think we can create a great culture for it. I think someone else said it, but we covered 30 counties. A lot of cities are very, very supportive of having events in their city because it brings in money, right? So, and like the city of Frisco has told us, if you guys get enough numbers in Frisco, we'll sponsor a big event for you guys. So it just takes the core group reaching out, bringing other people, and opportunities are going to open up. But do you have?
So I recently went to the American Institute of Certified Tax Planners. We have an annual convention that we go to, and I received an award. And during that time, I'm going to show the story because I think it's important to kind of what we're talking about. So I was I was the only Latina to get that award, and so during lunch, it was a 2-day event. During lunch the next day, I had met another fellow Hispanic CPA from Miami, and 2 other ladies from California down, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, I was trying to get a picture with you last night. Oh my gosh, and I was freaking out. I thought, Anna, what did you tell them?" And she goes, "Nothing. That's her." And I thought, they literally made me cry, because as they were doing that, and they took a picture, we took a picture together. They said they took my phone and took a picture of themselves and saved their numbers on my phone. And as it was going, I'm going, that's right. We're doing it. We're breaking that ceiling where it's okay to talk about, the things we don't have and the things we need to learn about. And I actually told them, in North Texas, but if you guys, one of them has a tax office for 25 years, one of them for 20 years. And they're just recently becoming certified tax coaches. If you're interested, I'd love to connect you with our membership group so you guys can start something over there. So it's not just here, it's spreading that message in professions that are underserved.
For city or?
That's what I want. That's what I want. I want representatives in each city or county, depending on how.
Well, I'm looking for Addison.
You're out.
Plano.
Small business owners. I mean, all that.
Hey, we have to talk in the microphone for Zoom conference. To hear us. Okay, but we do have a question from somebody in the chat, so I'm going to pass it over to Julia so she can ask that question about a different topic.
So, and it's David, and he's saying, how about helping bridge the gap from high school to college for Latin youth? Guest speaking, mentoring, etc., etc. At career days, I have spoken at some schools as well. So David, I can say I also have a business that does this, helping bridge that gap between, especially the Latino community or the underserved community, but I do help out and we'll definitely have to stay in touch based on that. Also, the chamber is looking to have something new, something in the works. We still can't talk about it, but these are the initiatives that we do want to change. We want to make sure that the youth is having access to Latinos that are already, doing something in the community, but have successful businesses in the community. And so kind of like talking about the restaurants, right? So a lot of these students, their parents have businesses as well, but they're not staying up to par with technology or not having bookkeepers or CPAs to help them. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, a lot of businesses closed because of that. And we want to change that because I know I miss a lot of restaurants because of it. They've closed down and it's because of this. So we definitely do need to have that education piece added to it. And that's why we have the lunch and learns. So these are important things that we want to know as board members of the chamber to see how can we better serve, our community and those people that have businesses in those areas as well.
So whether the question is in reference of becas or grants, or what do they mean by the gap?
So answering your question about the gap. So the Latino community, even though we're 30% of the nation's, Latinos, we're also the highest ones that have the highest dropout rate in high school and also in college. So, we need individuals like yourselves that have made it, that have degrees, or even if you don't have a degree. So one thing that I do focus on is college and career. So I don't necessarily say you have to go to college to be successful, but have a career, get a certification, know how to do it the right way, right? And not have to go through all these hurdles, because that's why we need mentors. That's why there's, in order for you to succeed, you want to make sure you're staying connected to the right people. And so one of the things that we're working on is just that, right? So don't want to say a lot about it because it's still something that we need to talk about as a board, but these are things that we know from the members and the community to see if that would really help, but it does help. I also just saw that San Antonio's university has implemented different things to better serve first-gen students, and it's helped a lot. So their actual graduation rate has gone up to 30% when it was at 8% over the pandemic. And so these are initiatives that more universities need to take, as well as community college. As someone that has worked in the education field, there's still a lot of implementation that needs to be done. But when I work with parents and students, I always say, don't really look at the graduation rate, because the graduation rate doesn't really necessarily say a lot about the student specifically. It says more about the university. And a lot of people underestimate or misinterpret that differently, because they say, oh, well, their graduation rate is just 8%, but they're not looking at why that is. What are the resources that you're saying that you provide for students? Or if students are going to, talk to you as a resource, is it really helping you, or are you just being tossed away? So those are things that as an educator, I always, want to implement. And as well as Estela said a while ago, we do need to do a better job in speaking in Spanish, which I am a big advocate for, because that's one of the reasons why I started my business, was because I was having to translate for my mom when I was going through that process. And a lot of times was like, well, what does that mean? I don't know, I'm learning as she's learning. And 10 years later, it's still the same thing. There's really no one talking about, the information in Spanish. And that's why I started my business, because I'm having to speak to parents and say, well, you need to do this, this, and that. And they're like, well, what is that? And so it's saying, okay, I'm remembering my mom not knowing, and doing baby steps and saying, well, this is why we ask this is why we do this is why it's important to do your taxes and do them the right way. Also, there's a myth that says, and I don't know where it started from, I really need to investigate it, but I've had a lot of parents say over the years is, oh, I don't want to give my tax return information because the IRS is going to get it. And I mean, ICE is going to have information to that. And so for those Latino communities that are, undocumented, there's a fear of saying, well, if I'm going to give you this information, you're going to find me. And I'm like, that's not the point of that. So there's a lot of things that go into the education part that a lot of people don't know. And it's because it's not in Spanish.
Would you be interested in partnering together to focus on those dropouts instead? Because I mean, there's a big number. My wife is a teacher, and we're working together on programs. And of course, everybody's focusing on the great guys, great grades. They're already going to college, and we should have more people like that focusing on those people. But let me tell you something. I was not a great student. I was supposed to drop out. My parents really gave me the support, and my family gave me the support to do it. So I don't think there's a lot of efforts or a lot of attention to those dropouts. They're kids out there. They're not numbers. So would you be interested in probably developing something? And I know it's probably out of the time, but maybe we should probably talk about it. I told you not to give me this thing.
No, I wasn't going to shut you up or anything. I was going to follow up on what you're saying, because I mean, I can speak just from experience. My background, was in education a long, long time ago. And at some point, I became a liaison in the community, Hispanic community in the school. And I mean, kids were dropping out like flies, and we were having a lot of the gangs were just beginning to come into the small town. So the parents got really, really involved. Of course, that's key. If you have the parents' involvement, then things are going to turn around. But to your point, my husband and I started a scholarship foundation. We called it the Hispanic Scholarship Foundation. And we had a lot of just people did not like that in Gainesville, Texas. Because why are you doing that for the Hispanics? You're a racist. Why don't you just do it for everyone? Well, it was the Hispanic kids that were dropping out. It's like you say, and I used to talk to the Lions Club and the Rotary. It's like, I mean, a lot of people are Christians and they have this moral compass, and it's like Jesus came to heal the sick, not to just talk to the people that were well. I mean, if you just use that as an example, if you go where the weak people are, where the need is. Anyway, so we started this scholarship foundation, and what we did is that we made it to where, the bright kids, they already had all the opportunities. They were having, they had their way paid to go to high school or the best schools, and then we had the kids that were not doing that well in school, but they had rich parents and they could manage. So we, the guidelines for a scholarship were you had to be at least a fourth Hispanic, just, included a lot of people. And then you had to have a C average. And we sent kids, and our scholarships were not thousands of dollars. Sometimes they were $500, they were $1,000 that got them started in the local community college. You know what? We turned that dropout rate, and I mean, it still makes me very emotional because it doesn't take that much. It doesn't take, great genius plans. It just takes little steps to start, chipping away into where you see the need and you do something. Anyway, we started turning that percentage. I mean, I come across kids, this is 25 years later, these kids have already gone to school, they've got degrees. I mean, I've met some kids that went to Harvard, and all they needed was that little push. Just getting, yes, you can, and they had maybe C average because they did not have the resources, but they're bright kids. Anyway, that's my 2 cents worth on that.
So based on what Estela just said, I do want to say, so I also am certified as teen, basically liaison. More than anything, I'm not a counselor, but it is proven that when you have at least one person in your life, especially in the teenage years, that believes in you, that can make a big difference. And so that is one of the reasons also why I am involved in Las Chicas del Barrio. So there is a nonprofit that mentors young Latinas from 15 to 25 years of age. And we mentor them. They get a mentor throughout the year, but they're also going to have therapy sessions followed with Canenta Center, which is also part of the chamber. And these connections would have not been done if, we wouldn't have been involved in a chamber, because a lot of times, it's the lack of resources. Like sometimes we don't know just on our own and trying to find it. If you have a business, it's kind of hard to just be looking and scrolling around Facebook or Google to try to find it. And that's why the chamber is important. And so, we just had our first meeting where the mentees and mentors met this past Saturday. And it was very awesome to see the girls and, their parents came to meet the mentors, right? Because also mentors were very nervous of saying like, oh, I'm going to meet this one student. But afterwards, the feedback that we got was like, oh, I love my mentee. I love my mentor. Like this is, we're a perfect match. And those are the things that we want to do throughout the community and make sure that we keep increasing it, because we know that 20 years from now, that's going to make a big impact, just from that one person that was a positive role model or someone that was very positive in their lives. It's been proven that that's all they need, because unfortunately in some of the schools, and this is high school, college, and even universities, there's a lot of negative Nancy's out there that will tell you, you are not capable, you can't do this, no. And so we want to change that. We want to make sure that even though they hear that, for them to know it is possible and you will be able to do it.
I think mentorship is also for adults too, because I have my mentor and I've talked to her for years and years, and it's just nice to have feedback from the outside looking in. So I would recommend it to any business owner, having a mentor. Why not? And if it could be within the chamber, even better, right? I'll leave it at that.
It's just hunger. I mean, and that's something that when some people, we do our online shows, and sometimes we have these people saying, well, when we're doing the festival, they were saying, well, that chamber promised me something and never worked out. I said, well, which chamber? So that's a confusion that, that's another thing that we need to be aware of it for positioning. But what I found out different from other chambers is that this is more like a group of support group as well. So not only as a business owner, you deal with the entire world against you, but together we can actually make it easier as mentors. So, yeah.
So adding to that too is the implementation piece that Julia spoke about. And for us that are caught, I was first generation, but my kids are not. But that they needed the help. I mean, I remember when my oldest daughter came home and she said, well, thanks a lot, Mom. And I said, well, what did I do? And she goes, well, you and Dad got degrees. So now I don't qualify for the first. So sorry for bettering ourselves. So that's that gap that this new generation is going to. And it's also me, because I did have that one person that pushed me. So now, okay, so you helped me off to the ledge. Now what? So this is what we serve. Now we're the adults that we're no longer the first generations. Now we're building generations, but we still need the mentorship. We still need that help. I mean, I've met with, several potential clients, and, all they need is that one tax question answered. All they need is to know that when they do start making millions, and I tell them, I see, then, it may just be just that, yes, you're in the right direction. You're going that way. And we offer that to each other. And I think that's important, is to focus on not just helping our generations over the ledge, but then holding their hand for a while and making sure that we're there. So that way.
That's a very statement.
It is. It is. I didn't know how to. And I think part of that also is learning to say, I don't know. Which is that, because for me growing up, those negative Nancy's came from my home. And that's cultural. And that was where I needed that outside mentor, because, I mean, I love my parents dearly, but the day I told my mother I wanted to be an attorney, she says, so what are you going to do? Move in with the guys that haven't support you? Why don't you be a teacher? You have 3 months free. Okay. But it's true. We do face those. And we don't speak about it. And that's why I like to speak about it, because it's the reality. It's the reality that my generation faced. Our kids are growing up in a different generation because we're breaking those ceilings. And, and then their children are in a completely oblivious state. So they're the givers, they're the sharers, they're the more generous generation, I think. But we still need that, because we're not dead yet. We're still trying to do it. So I don't even remember my response, honestly. I joked about it and I said, well, forgive us for doing it. But it was a big deal. It was a big deal for her. And what could I say? Make better grades. I'll tell you what, I have 6 children. My advice to number 4 was different than my advice to number 1. Number 1's 28 years old. At that time, it was go to college, go to college, go to college. Number 4 got, what do you want to do with your life? What kind of lifestyle? And I got this, and I got this from a gringa CEO that I worked for in corporate. She showed me what she did with her kids. Where else am I going to learn it from? I didn't learn it at home. So I took that and said, okay, it worked for her, do it with my kid. We sat down. What kind of lifestyle do you want to have? Do you want to pay hundreds of dollars for those caterpillars you put on your eyes? Do you want to pay hundreds of dollars for those snails? Okay, what's it going to cost? Are you going to cook? No? Okay, where do you want to live? Okay, this is what it's going to cost you to be you. Now let's go do something with that. What's going to make you that? Some kids are built for college, some kids are not. So, the good thing is we have trades.
We gotta be honest, but my band, we have the opportunity to go to Winnetka Elementary School down in South Dallas. in one of the things that we learned, here we go, Carmina has a master's degree, a bachelor's degree. Okay, so finish school, Some of these kids came up to me and said, well, my mom is a prostitute. My dad used to be a drug, he used to be a bum. I said, who are you to tell me go to school? Right? So, I mean, a lot of times it's just, it's not that easy to consider a mentor. I mean, we did kind of make him happy with the music and everything, but I learned a lesson. I mean, it's not something that you just talk out of your own experience. I mean, but the question to me remains, what about those kids who definitely don't do good at school? They just don't. I mean, is there a program that we can probably sponsor or promote or create or maybe partner with school? Because they might probably have a little one of those 2-year mini careers or whatever or something. I don't know. It's just a,
They can. We do have coming up an event for trades. So we're gathering a contact list, probably in Collin County, but maybe we're open to different places too, where we bring in people with different trades, and that way the kids will start getting exposed to it. And I think a lot of opportunities will come about as our membership grows too, because like as an example, we have a ribbon cutting coming up with a company that's a robotics company, and they can bring in, they ship their robots to Tesla. So they're setting up in Capel. And the lady that's in charge of it is bringing over 24 engineers from Mexico to work there. So it's going to be a pretty big deal. I think it's great, but her interest was, how do I reach Hispanic engineers? I have robots that schools won't have, and it's easy for us to kind of bring in and teach a couple of lessons or like a little workshop. So as we're growing and bigger companies are joining, they're also gonna do stuff like that. And I think that's how we can bridge a lot of that. Well,
Not to change the subject, but we will change the subject since we only have a few minutes. I do want to encourage all of you that have participated today and you're not part of a committee, you're not part of the board, or you're not, an active, there's room for you. We need you. We need all of you. We need hands-on. We need your ideas. We need your energy, all of that. We need everything. I did want to say, all of you have potential to become board members. I don't want anybody to think that we as board members feel that we got all the answers, because we don't, And this is one of the reasons that we want to do this every quarter, open it up to the membership. Hopefully next time we'll have, more of you here present, but if the Zoom works, that's fine too. To be able to become a board member, there's some qualifications, and we're going to be introducing some new ideas on how to actually be part of the leadership, the board. One of the ideas, and I just want to throw it out right now so that you start thinking about it, is that we will take it to the membership so that you can elect the people that are on the board. Right now, we have had the privilege of just had the people that are serving right now, just, they volunteer, they've been with us at least 2 years. They've shown the right stuff, to take, to bring to the board. But in the future, we will put it out for nominations, and then the membership would actually vote to have you. So this is, I think, a good exercise for us to be more democratic, to actually elect people that we want us to lead. None of the positions here are permanent. I mean, we have bylaws right now that guide us on how things are done. But nothing is set in stone. I mean, as the membership grows, as the new ideas come on, we will be reviewing bylaws. We will be reviewing the way that we do things. So all of your input is so important. It's very well received. And if you would like to be a part of the board, right now you need to be at least 1 year, been a member in good standing, paid your dues, been active in a committee. And basically that's the two major things, right? But you need to have been a member for at least a year with us before we can even, you can submit an application for the board. But that's all I need to say on that. And we will have this transcript available so that we can follow up on all of these ideas, all the comments. And Gilberto, you can probably send us notes.
Yeah, thank you for coming. And I think we're good to close it out, Jonathan. Yeah, we're going to close it out. We're going to close out a little bit early, 7 minutes. Get back to your day. And thank you guys for joining online. Hope to see you soon.